MLG's first weekly talk show, Cold Hard Facts with Ron.
Budweiser.
Yeah, the Budweiser Cold Hard Facts.
Let's get it.
Alright, I gotta pull up these questions that I sent you last night. Now I got 2 open beers because I did that little beer crack on the first attempt, so now I've got 2 open beers sitting in front of me for this.
Even better. What I say is this, bro. I want to say that the reason this is going to be a dope show because, you got to look at it like this. A lot of the leagues, a lot of the things that they do are basically based on availability and who's doing this, who's doing that. But I think that, like, MLG has been one of them leagues to where we keep people around because, you know about the people. A lot of people have been in contact with each other for years. It kind of stemmed from NGA, which was, Brady, that was probably like 2008, bro. 2007,
Really?
2008. And, like, so I'd say this league stemmed from that. So probably a third to a quarter of the league is from that. So I think this is kind of what keeps the league going. And the idea was dope. You're the perfect person to do it because, you brought life to the league and you brought a personality to it. So I love it. I'm ready to do it.
All right, so I sent you those questions last night. There might be a little more than 10. Depends on how much we talk. But first off, what's your favorite NFL team?
Let's first make sure people can hear me. So, let me make sure. Let me check my mic.
I have the party set to stream, so they should be able to hear you, but I'll double check that just to be safe.
Yeah, let me double check it. So you should be able to hear me. My party settings are all set to be able to hear me.
Yeah.
Let me get one person to check it. So
yeah.
Let me get Cody to check it, and then we'll kick it off.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right, Cody.
I like being an MLG, but I'm so frustrated this season because I just keep getting killed, and like every game, a starter of mine goes down.
Yeah, man, I've noticed that. I really don't think that you're in any position to be ashamed because you beat me before. I think you've beaten some good people, but I think it's just consistency and, like, a lot of what's going on right now. So I'll be real with you. There's kind of like a little a movement within the league of people trying to lab and actually get better and make their reads crisp. We have a little inner chat going, which is kind of giving B-Dot, me and Cody, a little bit of life.
Yep.
So I think that's what it's about, is just trying to get better. But if anyone can or cannot hear me, just let us know real quick. But I think we're good to go.
Okay. I was doing a little scouting here. So I guess people
we should be beyond straight.
All right. Well, so anyways, with the first question here, what's your favorite NFL team?
All right, so a lot of people know this about me. It's the Rams. So a lot of people think that I became a Rams fan just within the heyday of, like, the early 2000s of, like, the Greatest Show on Turf years. But I'm from Los Angeles, so it makes sense, but it also makes sense. So I always had, when you were coming up in LA, you had a choice when I was growing up, when I was real young. The Rams were like the ratchet team. They were awful, and they played in a shitty little place. And they were just like the laughing stock of the city, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But the Raiders were always like the cool team. But what always drew me towards the Rams is, I know this sounds dumb, and everyone picks their teams when they're young based on where they're from and off of crazy reasons, but my initials are RAM. So that always, when I was, like, young, before I even really liked football, I just liked the Rams, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it kind of stuck with me. It kind of stuck with me as I grew up. and when they were asked, there's kind of like a sense of pride of being a fan of a fan base that's not necessarily the best. So I like to think of it like this. So when people think of the Rams, they don't know too many Rams fans, and they,
Yeah, I was
you
gonna
would
say you're the
think,
first one that I've met.
exactly. So I'm one of the few that's out there, and I take pride in that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would rather be a faithful fan of a fan base, and I've lived in 5 different states, probably 10 different cities. I could have easily been a Broncos fan, Seahawks fan, or anything like that, but I've just stuck true to my team, and I always felt like, what I'm saying, it's easy to be a fan of any team that's convenient. Like, I respect Cowboys fans and all that shit, but I'm an LA fan through and through. But
Okay.
that was always the reason why I was a Rams fan.
Huh. That's interesting. So the second question, what is your favorite defensive formation to run in Madden and why?
In Madden, I think this year it's nickel because we have these personnel match rules, right? So you're pretty much right in any situation in that formation, and it's pretty much become the base defense in real life.
Yeah.
So I also like that, you have that extra defensive back on the field, but also you have a sound front six. You do have to get a little bit more creative with it, but 3-4 and 4-3 are so restricted because most people are going to come out in 2 to 4 wides, and you're good at either of those 3 sets. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think that nickel's the most well-rounded. If you can find ways to play a sound single high and double high with that, that's the best by far to me.
Yeah, so you said you can pretty much run that in every play and be right. So like a guy could come out and like double A gap every play of a Madden game in MLG and like probably wouldn't face any sanctions.
It depends because you have to think at that point someone literally has to go 1 wide or 5. So those are such extremes, you know what I'm saying? So like, it is the formation that is kind of in the middle between 1 and 5, right? So
Right.
three corners between 1 and 5. So you can run it against 2, 4, and 5. I'm sorry,
Okay.
2. You can run against 2, 3, 4, and 5. So 4 out of the basic 6 alignments that you're gonna see. That's the only formation that you can run as well rounded as that. If you think about it, if you go 3-4-2, you can only run against 1, 2, and 3. If you go dime, that's 4, so you can only run against 3, 4, and 5. So nickel, you can go 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Okay.
I'm sorry, 2, 3, and 4. You know what I'm saying? So
Yep.
I think it's and really nobody is gonna go 5 wide. Or if they go 1 wide and you decide to go nickel, it better be an extreme situation. But still, it's the one defense that you can call and not have to worry about, are they going to bitch about what I'm calling
Right.
half the time? You know what I'm saying?
Right. All right. So next question. Whoa, I almost dropped my phone. It's 4th and 3 in the final seconds of the Super Bowl, and you're 15 yards away from getting a touchdown and sealing the game up. What play do you call and why? Like, what play do you think that you can just come out and get the touchdown indefinitely, no matter what the defense comes out in?
All right, 4th and 3, and how much time's left?
Let's just say like 10 seconds, and you're down by a touchdown. A touchdown wins the game.
And how far away am I?
15 yards.
All right, so how many timeouts left?
I'll say
That's
one.
tough because, all right, so if I have 1 timeout left, what I would do in that situation is, I'm thinking 2 plays, right?
Okay.
So I'm either going to try to get out of bounds and extend it to maybe 3, or I'm going to try to get it to 2 with just calling a timeout when I get it. I'm definitely not going for the end zone on 4th and 3. So I'm going to make you defend the field. I think my best play call in that situation is going to be a gun trips offset. It's going to be that spot wheel because I feel like I have a potential to get maybe, a touchdown, but I also have a very high percentage to get the 3 yards, call a timeout, and run another play. So if I'm ever in a crunch, I'm probably gonna run a trips just because in that situation you can get a flat, and get out of bounds, or you can I'm gonna make you defend the field in that situation.
Right.
So I think spot wheel with one of the variations I do, which may be like a double under concept or a trail concept, one of the two, would be that would be my go-to play in that situation. And I have it out of a couple different. I have it out of gun trips tight end and out of gun just a normal Y trips tight end. So I can run it out of either one, but just depending upon how you play it, I might even run the ball right there if you just line up completely out of pocket.
Okay.
But one of those, I would definitely get a swing involved to get you moving and get you thinking, and then try to hit you with something and call a timeout.
Okay. So the next question, because I remember you asked me this, and I remember you said you were going to be thinking about it for a while. What are your top 3 favorite albums?
All right, so this is the only question I prepared for. So this is going to be really tough. So just to give you an idea of how seriously I take music, I literally sat down and I listed my top 3 albums. I could not do a top 3, bro. I couldn't do it. So I'm gonna give you. This is gonna sound bad, Brady. I couldn't narrow it down past a top certain amount, but here are some of the ones that I brought up. So many different genres, so many different albums. So Thriller, Michael Jackson is way up there. Camp Low, Uptown. So I don't know if you've ever heard of Camp Low, but Uptown Saturday Night is up there. Raekwon, Only Built for Cuban Links. Anita Baker, Rapture. Don't laugh at that. Prince, Christopher Tracy's Parade. Dr. Dre, The Chronic, Illmatic, Ready to Die, All Eyes on Me. The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, Southern Playalistic, Get Rich or Die Trying, Doggy Style, and Tikal. Those are my favorite albums, right? So if I had to narrow it down to 3, I would go. I couldn't do a 3. But those are the 14 that. I literally sat down and I was like, so what am I gonna do in this situation, right? So those are the ones that just crossed my mind at first, because especially if you go through like Apple Music,
Yep.
you can refresh your memory on what some of them are. So I was going through it today. I can't decide, bro, but I will say that the ones that jumped off the page the most, as far as just like all amazing tracks that I can listen to forever, would be Thriller, Anita Baker, Rapture, and Prince, Christopher Tracy's Parade. Those 3.
Prince, that's cool. I knew,
Yeah, but
out of all of those albums you listed, I knew the Dr. Dre one, the 50 Cent one. I haven't heard the Prince album, but I know who Prince is, and Michael Jackson Thriller I've heard part of.
The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill is way up there. You have to have heard Thriller. Thriller is like mainstream galore. But also like I like a few of those albums that are named on there that are like kind of under the radar. Method Man to Cal is like not really up there for most people, but and Southern Playalistic from Outkast, their first album, that is lights out. There's a documentary on that on Netflix if anybody has seen it, but that is one of the best ones ever.
There's a documentary about Outkast on Netflix.
It's about Dungeon Family and kind of how they came up, which is really good. I can look it up, but that is the toughest question for people that like music. I guarantee you that's gonna be the one that people are gonna be pulling their hair over. So,
Right.
but those would be my 3, and none of them are rap, none of them are hip hop. But those 3 are just like super duper classic. I can listen to them over and over again.
Okay. So, question number 5. What is your favorite beer or liquor?
Shit. I forgot about this one. Alright, so I would have to say.
I was gonna say you should think about how I felt when you asked me, like, what's your favorite kind of beer? Like, shit, I actually got to pick one.
Yeah, you said a cold one. I was like, what is that? You're
Yeah,
like just a cold beer. I
pretty
would
much.
say
Unless it's a Guinness, that's garbage.
Knob Creek. Um, Knob Creek. They got this this single barrel that is crazy. Single barrel Knob Creek. That's probably the best one going right now. I'm over Hennessy. I'm over Remy. I'm over like all the typical shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm over Ciroc is garbage. I'm over vodka as a whole.
Yeah.
But I think Knob Creek is the best.
See, I like, because when you asked me, I had to think, because, I mean, really, when it comes to beer, like I said, unless it's Guinness, just because Guinness is such a dark beer that it's just gross. I mean, I really don't mind. Like liquor, I really like Jameson whiskey, Crown Royal. I like vodka because I like screwdrivers on a nice sunny afternoon.
Word.
Like, let's see, Jameson, Crown Royal. I like Jack Daniels, Jim Beam. And like another beer that I really have grown to like is they make it in St. Cloud, Minnesota, which isn't far from me. It's called Minnesota Gold, and it's pretty good.
So out here in Atlanta, we have Sweetwater, right? I don't know if you've ever had that, but I've been to the actual brewery, which is it's like Midtown, downtown, and basically you'll pay like $8 and they'll give you a cup and you just refill it for like 4 hours until you get buzzed. But it's like IPAs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They really killing that. So that's if I had to drink a beer, it'd probably be an IPA. Or I really like just trying new shit, but
well, that's what I like too.
Like
I like taste testing beers. Like, don't get me wrong. When someone says, "Hey, I got this, IPA or whatever, check it out," it's like, all right, I'll try it, but don't be offended if I think it's gross.
For sure, yeah, I agree. I just don't think it's anything. You can't really go wrong with certain stuff, but
right.
I'm really as a whole. I'd rather not even really drink than to drink the same shit, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I'd rather just try something new every once in a while than just keep drinking the same shit. That shit is boring and it's whack. It's kind of lame at that point.
Right, that's my thing too. Like, there's some people who drink, like out here, who always drink Busch Light, or they're always like Miller Lite people. Who are like, I'll drink PBR for a while, then I'll switch to Budweiser, I'll switch to Miller, I'll switch to Bud Light. I'm kind of all over it, just because after a while I just get sick of tasting the same beer after work all the time, so I switch it up.
Switch it up is good, bruh. Let me make sure that hold on real quick. The same beer after work all the time, so I switch it up. Switch it up is good. Oh, I'm good. Yeah, I'm on there. All right, go ahead.
So anyways, we'll move on to the next question. Do you have any, like, Madden rituals? Like, is there anything that you do in specific before any game that you're willing to share?
Ah, shit. Damn. So, first of all...
Please don't say jerking off, because I really don't want to know that.
No, it's not anything like that. But I really got to make sure that... Making sure she's not in the room. I got to make sure my girl's not bothering me, bruh.
All good, dude. I get it.
I gotta make sure the coast is clear, and like I gotta make sure that that's the first thing that I can just zone out. And once that's good, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? Like, if it were an ideal situation, what I would do is probably smoke something, and then come right back inside right before the game with that little buzz. But I'll tell you, nothing really sets my game off other than really better than having like maybe a brew just sitting there. You know what I'm saying? It's third down, you just take a swig.
Right.
But it's nothing super crazy. I just really need to be able to focus, and then either one of those two is perfect, perfect, perfect.
I'm glad I'm
If
not
I
the
could,
only one
like,
with the whole like, well, being as I'm married, but like, I mean, I love my wife to death, but there's just something about her telling me about her day when I'm playing Madden that just kills it for me.
you got to time it out right. Like, if I'm gonna get home at 8:30, I'm not gonna. If you notice, a lot of my games get pushed back like 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah, mine do
And
too
it's
because
because
like if she wants to talk, I'll talk to her for a little bit just because like, man, there's nothing worse than third and short, and here she comes, she's got a question or whatever else, and it's like, and then I throw an interception and I get mad and she doesn't understand why.
yeah, it's true. I mean, you really have to be able to focus, but
Right.
I really only think the reason why that's a big deal is because I think a lot of us play that game just to zone out and shut the fuck up for like an hour. You know what I'm saying?
Pretty much.
It's probably one of the only times of your day where you're not looking at your phone or your emails for work, or you just don't want to hear shit. You know
That's
what I'm
my
saying?
problem
So it's
too. I
like,
think like I gotta start setting my phone aside because like I'll check it throughout the game because I'm always worried that someone's gonna start lighting me up because maybe I broke a rule or something. Just because you don't know how some people are. You could play the game totally straight and someone will claim you broke something if they get mad enough. But I don't make people mad generally, so usually I'm the one getting mad because I don't know. I get so sick of just getting hammered all the time. But I mean, I've had an injury-riddled season, like I said, so it kind of is what it is. It's just frustrating.
I just want to mention this real quick. So, of my top 3 albums, I got to go back to this real quick.
All
So
good, man.
the two that were rap that were the next names out the hat were The Chronic, Dr. Dre, the first one, and Ready to Die by Biggie. Those two, if you go back and listen to them, they were groundbreaking and just amazing. Like, I really don't think you realize how good The Chronic was until you go back and listen to it. It's so good. That was 4, so that would probably be like my top hip hop album for those that give a fuck about that. But that by far is the toughest question. I know like certain guys like B Dot and Damien, they're gonna struggle with it with the same way I did, but it was tough. It was tough.
Yeah, I suppose we should probably move on to the old next question here. Is there any teams in MLG that you would like to see go all the way? I mean, obviously you want to see yourself get a Super Bowl ring, but is there anybody in specific that, okay, maybe you've played with them for a long time or something, and you just kind of want to finally see them get it?
Cody by far.
Yeah?
Cody, well, let's look at it like this. So Cody and I started the league, and he's been a consistently good player. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
But he does not have a Super Bowl, which somehow, for someone who's been that good for that long, is crazy. Either him or Larry, but Larry came in at a certain point, but me and Cody started this shit. You know what I'm saying?
Really? That's
So
cool.
I have no idea. So like me and Cody branched off from the league I told you we did. We just decided to try something different. I have no idea how he doesn't have one. But I'll be honest with you, I really can't see a Super Bowl matchup going forward with him being in the AFC without facing me. I'd rather see me win one, but Cody is the guy that I'd really like to see at least end up in there at a certain point. And I think he's been to one or two. I don't think he's won one yet. But I think he's due for one. He's not starting out too good this year, but that's the guy I would like to see win one. The guy I'd like to face the most would be Dorian, because for one, we have a rivalry going, and I kicked the dog shit out of him the last few times we played. I think it would be an easy win, but I just love when people talk shit and you just don't say shit and beat the shit out of him on the field. He can't fuck with me at all on Madden. And let's be real, that shit talking is entertaining for the league, but at the same time holds no weight. It just gets me pumped up for the game. And I just enjoy playing it a little bit more, and people talk shit.
See, I've got the other problem where I talk a lot of shit, but I lose all the time. So it's just bad either way. But I don't know. I do
I
it
don't
because
think you
like,
talk a lot of shit, bro.
well, not in here anyway. I guess some other leagues I do, but like I don't know. I get like, if I get pissed off like I was when I lost to Damien last night. I mean, sometimes I really get mad, but like I don't know. I've gotten a lot better at it just because it is frustrating when you lose, like I said before. But it just it's something you kind of got to just deal with. I mean, it is just a game
Yeah.
at the end of the day, but it's still, like I've always said, it just sucks to lose.
Yeah, it
Especially,
does.
especially when you're like me and I love winning. But that, I was gonna say that is cool. Like, I would like to see Cody get a Super Bowl. He seems like a pretty good dude. I mean, I've only known him for, I don't know, almost a year, but I mean, he's the reason why I'm in MLG, and people gave me shit that last time we had a radio show because I traded Snell to him, but it's like, I was doing all right with Bortles. It's just my big problem is that I got to not make bad decisions all the time.
Yeah. It really doesn't matter what quarterback you have, honestly, if you make the right reads. But I will be real, Snell is the best quarterback in the league right now. So
Yeah,
I don't know. You got other shit for him, but at the same time,
but the thing was
yeah,
is
that
like
wasn't.
the reason why I let him go is like I couldn't play with him. Like I threw a lot of picks with him, and I just got frustrated with it. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna let this guy go because I knew he could be a good player with the right team, I guess.
Well, I mean,
Sometimes you
the
got to cut
definition
your
of
losses.
insanity is doing the same thing with expecting different results. I would shake it up too. And at the end of the day, I suck with mobile quarterbacks because I think about running the ball when I should be thinking about throwing it. So like I'll drop back and I'll be thinking, well, I can run it because I'm faster. Then you get off your reads. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's
So it
my
just depends. It just depends.
that's a problem I've had too. Where like I'll drop back and it's like I'll look at the receivers it's like, Cape, they're all blocked, and I'll look, oh, there's a hole there, and I can run it. When really, if I take that hole, then all of a sudden their defensive end's going to get off my lineman and kill me, which has happened before. So I try to drop back and just make a decent read, but sometimes it's like I don't know. Something I've always done is I'll look at the play and say, okay, I'm going to look at this guy, then this guy, then this guy, and go from there. But sometimes I get like overly excited, and then I look at the wrong guy and I hit the wrong button, or I just throw it to the wrong receiver in general, and it just turns out bad.
Yeah.
Because
What
you'll
I'm
see.
thinking about doing too is so I'm trying to think of ways to really grow the league. And one of the ways to do it, I guess, would be having an impact on some football. So we have that MLG YouTube channel. It's only like 41 subscribers. Some of our videos, like the Sim one I had last year, got a lot of views. But I think that if we start doing more creative stuff like this, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That other leagues aren't doing. I think we can eventually start to grow it a little bit more. But
Well,
um,
and I've always thought that Madden is a game where like you meet a lot of people, and it's just you kind of have a thing for it. Like like if you're doing good and you're in the league, you got a good record. You're kind of like you get excited to play your games and everything else. It's like it's kind of like a love-hate thing. Like you love playing a game, but you hate to lose it. I mean, it's really kind of sick and twisted if you think about it sometimes. But
it is, yeah.
you know,
It's
it's
very, it's very.
I mean, I've only been playing Madden for like 5 years, and that's pretty much about how long I've been with my wife. So she always gives me crap for it, but she plays kind of like World of Warcraft or whatever on her phone. But so everyone's got their thing.
Yeah, it's true.
So we're up to question number 8 now. Is there any MLG player that you prefer to play and why? But I think you kind of covered that when you talked about how you like pretty much like playing Dorian the most.
Yes, but for one reason. But like, I don't enjoy playing it from a sim perspective. I think from a sim perspective, I really like playing against B Dot, Larry, and
Okay.
Cody. Those three, B Dot, Larry, and Cody. Those three guys really make me think and make adjustments. Uh, B Dot is way up there, man. Like, I don't know if you've played against him, but
I've played
You
against
can
him like
tell.
once or twice, but I play against Larry twice a season, and I can vouch for he is fun to play because he really makes you think, but at the same time, you just really want to kick his ass.
I'll say this. So I think in terms of originality, you'd go Larry. But in terms of matching wits and actually being able to win the game and make users and make great jumps on the football, B dot. Um, but I think those two guys are really, really fun to play. And I actually like playing like Niga. I can't never say his name right, bro. Niga, nigga. I don't want to say it the way I want to say it, but um, he's had flashes to where he plays extremely sim and gives me trouble, but I'd say the top two would be B Dot and Larry probably.
Okay. Um, Question number 9. What is your favorite thing to do outside of Madden? Like, do you have like a hobby, anything like that?
Yeah, so um, boxing, working out,
Really?
dorky stuff like reading.
I don't think that's dorky, but that's
Do
pretty cool.
yeah, well, I mean, at my age, it's not dorky. It's just it is what it is. Um, but I mean, the boxing working out thing is way up there. I think little stuff when you start enjoying, doing like direct reports and stuff at work, that falls into that nerdy category. But I think reading outside of work is even cooler. You know what I'm saying? Um, but I think those top two would be way up there. I really, really, really like watching film of football. Um, I tend to be able to break it down pretty well. Um, you might find me just like on a lunch break or something watching all 22 film. I really
Really?
enjoy doing that as well. But like if I had a free couple hours, it would clearly be doing something, watching or training with boxing or something like that at the gym, hooping, doing something like that. But that's definitely what I like to do outside of it. Or, honestly spending time with family too, you know what I'm saying? Which I really don't get to do as much as I like to do. Um, that would be number one actually, now that I think about it. But outside of that, I think I pretty much summed it up.
Huh. Yeah, it is cool to be around family when you get a chance. I don't get to see much of
But
my
don't get it
family
don't get it
too often.
twisted. I do get an alter ego side to where, that answer may change. I may like to be at the strip club. I may like to, what I'm saying, be doing something else, but in a league full of niggas, I really don't think we need to talk about that.
I've only been to one strip club my whole life, so
What the fuck?
I'm only 24. I guess I never really just made it a priority. I went to one last summer and it was all right.
Man, when I was 18, I was going to strip clubs with sweats on. I was like really I was obsessed with that shit. I got it out of my system. It's not too crazy for me, but it's, not a strip club. We're just going out doing something different. Oh, I really like barbecuing too. I like grilling outside.
Hell
Um,
yeah. I
that
love
shit is
grilling.
fire.
Oh shit, man.
Grilling is fire,
I
bro.
love nothing more than coming home on a Friday night from work, firing up the old charcoal grill and throwing a steak on it and watching it cook while I drink some beer.
Oh, are you serious, bro? That's the epitome right there. That's pretty high up there. That little combination you just said is way up there, bro.
Oh, dude, there's nothing better, especially nice day, sun shining, watching. It doesn't even necessarily have to be steak. Any kind of meat, ribs, chicken, whatever. Just something on the grill, just sitting there every once in a while. Maybe flip it over, listen to it sizzle.
It's something about it. It's just relaxing, man.
The smell of
It's
charcoal,
just
hell
something
yeah.
relaxing about with some music playing or something. Come on, man. Oh, I love music too. I love listening to music. If you can't tell, I really like underground artists. I really like artists that, you know, I don't know. I kind of enjoy listening to people that not a lot of people are talking about. And I try to find them.
Well,
It's
they're a
hard to
little
do
more.
nowadays, but
They're a little more original. I mean, like you just because I kind of like I don't really when it comes to like rock and roll and everything else. I don't know how underground I guess you could say I really get, but like the there's a folk rock band and the lead singer is from Minnesota and they're called Dead Man Winter, and they're not really big at all. Like hardly anyone I know really knows of them except for my supervisor at work, and they're just I don't know, I really like their music. Like they're just awesome. Like they're the kind of music that you drink screwdrivers to on a Saturday when it's like 75 degrees.
yeah. But don't get it twisted, man. If it's one of them days, bruh, and I got a game scheduled, I'm looking forward to playing that game too.
Oh
Like
yeah.
Madden is one of those. It's a dope stress reliever, man. Aside from all the other stuff that you do as well, but you got to be well rounded. If you get too caught up in one of the things we got to look at is you can't get too caught up in this game. You know what I'm saying? Don't
Right.
get too stressed out about it. Don't play it too much, but you could be doing a lot worse things than playing Madden every once in a while.
Right, I know it. Now you got me thinking about, man, I can't wait for the weather to turn around here. I mean, it's been like, I don't know, it's still about 20 degrees at night, and it sometimes hits the 40s during the day right now up here, but I just can't wait for it to be like 70 degrees, because outside of grilling, like one thing I like to do while I grill is like I like to turn wrenches in my garage. Like I love working on stuff. But my garage isn't heated, so like it kind of sucks to work in the winter. Now, if a vehicle that like I use to get to work, whatever goes down, obviously I'll fix it no matter what. But it's a lot nicer when it's 70 degrees and a guy can just go out, open the door on the garage, crank the stereo, get fucked up.
It's true. Also, for any boxing fans, Saturday, Danny Garcia and Thurman, that fight is huge. Even if you don't like boxing, you gotta watch that fight.
So if being a boxing fan, I have got to ask you, what do you think about the whole McGregor Mayweather thing?
It's a joke. It's pretty much a discredit to either one of the guys to ask them to get in either one of their platforms and for them to actually compete. So Mayweather would get destroyed in MMA and McGregor's going to get destroyed in boxing. Just so happens that McGregor is going to get paid more to get destroyed in boxing, and Mayweather is not going to inflict much punishment, so it works for both of them. That's it.
Okay.
But he doesn't stand it. He's not going to win a round. It's not even going to be close. But they'll get paid a lot at our expense. I would advise you not to even support it, honestly, if it ever happened. I'm not going to watch that shit.
The only reason why I would support it is because I'd like to see Mayweather lose. That's about it.
If you want to watch that, do not watch that fight. That would literally be, of all his fights that were ever televised, the least probability of him to lose ever. It's gonna be a laughing show. It's gonna be bad, bro.
I've never really been into boxing or MMA, so I really don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to that. One time I won tickets to a cage fight at a casino in the area, and I mean that was a good time. But at the time I was working at a cattle farm and working like 16 to 18 hours a day, so I kind of fell asleep at this place where an MMA fight was going on with my buddy. Yeah. Anyways,
yeah, it's a different skill set. Trust me.
I mean, it was
are.
What I was awake for was awesome, but like I was working a lot, so and I only went because I won the tickets and I wasn't gonna waste them.
I mean, both. It's not like Mayweather would kick McGregor's ass in a real fight, but I mean, you're basically stepping into his field. You know what I'm saying?
His domain.
His domain is not even fair. Like, I mean, I guess it'll be okay to watch, but I'm not gonna spend my money on it. If anyone got it for the low, I'll come through, but fuck that. I'm not watching that shit.
So anyways, we're to question number 10, the final question, and that is, who is your favorite NFL player and why? What player have you enjoyed watching the most over either current, retired, or whatever?
All right, so anyone that does this does not have to be as wordy as me, but I really thought about these for today. But I have two, it's Torrey Holt and Steve Smith. So Torrey Holt, just because he was really in his prime, like at NC State when I first started watching college football like that. And I was just impressed with him in college, and then he went to the Rams. And I got to see him work out a few times. Just extremely smooth route runner. Something about him. Big play Torrey Holt. Man, Torrey Holt, his game was more than music, man. Just made big plays. And of course, he played for my team. That was always my guy. You know what I'm saying? But then Steve Smith is my favorite player ever over Torrey because when I was coming up in LA, I used to work out. One of my mom's friends, he was the coach at Santa Monica City College, which is where Steve Smith went, Chad Johnson went, and a couple other cats went.
Really?
So when I was a junior in high school, I was one of the more, highly recruited guys. So she was like, she told him about me. He was like, tell him to come down. And I used to go down there when I was a junior and work out with him. And I didn't know who he was. He wasn't a highly recruited guy or anything like that. He went to Utah, only had a few offers, but he was one of those guys I looked up to, not even knowing who he was, because he practiced so hard. So, like, I always tell the story. I have a few stories that people would may not have heard, or probably I don't know if they have. But so the first day I went to work out with them, it was no pads, just a scrimmage, just shirts and shorts. And he literally on one play he ran a route like backside and 7-on-7. And he picked the dude up by his neck and choke slammed him, and they got into a fight, like a brawl on the field. And I was like, what the fuck was that? You know what I'm saying? I was like, this dude is a nutcase, but he was so good. I could tell he was really good. And then the next time I went up there, he had to leave the practice early because a rival gang was coming up there to shoot him on that day, and they got word of it, so they sent him home. And I was like, yo, this dude that I always wanted to work out with, every single time I come up here is getting into some trouble, you know what I'm saying? So I knew he was a nutcase. And then I used to watch him play at Utah, and he was such a dog, you know what I'm saying? Like, you could tell he had been through some stuff. He just ran hard. He stiff-armed people, blocked. And he just earned my respect, you know what I'm saying? Just coming from the same area and just being, like, he's a real deal tough guy. Real deal tough guy. So Steve Smith's my favorite player, but Torrey Holt, close second. I really can't even think of a third. Those two really separate themselves from me.
Man, that's crazy as shit. You actually, knew Steve Smith?
I have some crazy stories. So at Santa Monica College, he was on the other side of Chad Johnson, right? So when I was a junior in high school, that was before Steve Smith went to Utah, and that was when I worked out with him. I was like, this dude is good. He's so fast. He's so good. You know, when you're younger, you're like, yo, this dude is nice. But he kept getting kicked off the field, and then I even went to a game one time and he got kicked out, and I was like, this dude is a goon. But yeah, I know guys I went to college with Chad Johnson, TJ Husmanzada, those guys. I don't really look up to them because I played on the same team as them in college at Oregon State. So I always looked at them as peers, just a little bit older. But Steve Smith is actually one of those guys I actually looked up to, you know what I'm saying?
Dude, that's crazy. I never knew you went to Oregon State.
I went there my first year of college. Actually, B-Dot went there. He went there a year after I went there, or a year after that. I think he's actually 2 years younger than me. So he probably went there a year after I left when those guys were gone. But he was there when Steven Jackson was there and a bunch of other guys. But that's crazy that me and him went to the same college for a year. And he ended up leaving. I did too. But we know a bunch of NFL guys. But Steve Smith is different, man. He was just enough older than me to where I could actually say that's a guy that I actually admire. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
You know, when a guy's 2 or 3 years older than you, you're like, you can't look up to a guy like that. He's almost the same age as you.
Right.
But he was always a little bit older to where it was like, man, that dude is I used to watch him play at Utah. Steve Smith, bro. YouTube, if anybody has not seen him, YouTube him in his prime. He was killing people, bruh. Choke slams, and he would stiff arm you. He would run past you, spin past you, run past you, catch it with his hands, fast. He was the best to me.
That's cool. I'm gonna have to look into that because I don't know much of the younger Steve Smith, only because I mean I really have only been into football for 8 years, 9 years, so there's that. But
You gotta look into it. He was really like a kick returner in college. He made some big plays. I mean, obviously from Utah, he had to make some big plays, but he was always a super duper fast guy. But he just became a dog, a super duper dog at a certain point. You won't find a guy that small that plays that physical at receiver ever. So he's that guy for me.
okay, well, that's been the 10 questions. So I'll probably we've been going on about running on close to an hour here for this show. So we'll hopefully some people check it out, and I'll have to kind of figure out who I'm going to interview next week. Right now it's week 13 and in the MLG season, and you are number 1 in the NFL at a 10-1 record with the Dolphins behind you in second place. Then it goes Broncos, Jags, Niners, Panthers, Falcons, Ravens, Saints, and then Seahawks. That's the top 10 right now in MLG. So I'm going to cut this.
I will say that you can cut it short, but I think that based on the recommendation that I talked to him about it, I would really like B-Dot to go next week.
All right.
He said he's willing to do it. Let's get him on next week, and he's a really, really interesting cat, man.
Yeah, that'd be
Like,
good.
I think that's good. I think that if you ask the same 10 questions to the same people, it'll make it kind of a theme show. Like, don't really switch it up for him, but I think he'll make it really interesting for you too.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking that, it's a lot easier just to kind of use the same questions, just because then guys kind of can think about it a little bit. They're not really blindsided.
Yeah.
So, that's recommendations are nice. I mean, if anybody listening to this has a recommendation for somebody that they would like me to ask them questions to, please go ahead and message me, and because then it makes it a lot easier, because otherwise I'm pretty much just putting names on a dartboard and throwing at it. So I'm going to cut this short. Ron, I don't know if you're in a real big hurry, but I was going to cut off the stream, then I had a quick question for you.
All right, you're good, bro.
All right. Well, anyways, I'll catch everybody next week. And, yeah,